Hey everybody, it's You Had to Ask, the show where I answer your questions. And our first question this week is a slight break in format. Instead of coming from a comment on the YouTube page or the Facebook page or whatever, it's from a private message that an old friend of mine sent me to talk about on the show. My friend Christopher Grebe, aka Varjak. And it goes like this. I've often thought back to the first real ideological disagreement we ever had. We had a discussion in which I argued that some people are simply better than others, not entitled to more rights or superior consideration, but rather simply flat out better people, better human beings. That while I defend equality in terms of rights and access to opportunity and legal protection, I disagree with the idea that all people are genuinely and inherently equal. That there's some balance that leaves everyone summed up to exactly the same value. I've often wondered if you still find that concept as disturbing as you did then, and where you stand on that idea now. Varjak. And I edited that down a little bit. I cut it because he wrote me a fucking book. And it's not the Stephen Varjak show, okay? It's the Steve show. I was thinking about it, and I think, first of all, I don't remember the conversation, like at all. I don't remember us ever talking about this, but I take your word for it, because lots of people have better memories than I do. And I think the reason I was probably troubled about it back then was just because it smacked a little bit of elitism. And even when you make it very clear, as you do, that you don't support giving people more privileges, more rights, etc. You believe in equality of opportunity and equality under the law and all that very important stuff. Even when you make sure that is made clear, that that's a part of your position, it troubles me. I find it a little, I'm squeamish about the idea of saying, well, certain people are just better than other people. Even if you don't mean it that way, and even if you aren't, as I think with you, Varjak, you're not the type of person that would ever, put your arm around a child and say, kid, some people are just better than other people. I mean, it's that, even though I don't think you would ever use it that way, that idea is still there in that concept, that idea of inherent superiority of some people. And I instinctively, sort of reflexively, just push that away and just reject that. I don't think that some people are just better than other people. But that brings up another interesting part of this question, because I was thinking just this morning when I was getting ready to shoot this, I was thinking, what do we even mean by some people are just better or some people are just worse people than others? Because I don't believe in gods. I don't believe in absolute morality or absolute standards. I believe that everything that we use to define our moral natures and our value and our worth as people comes from us. It doesn't come from some pre-existing standard. So if we don't believe in that, and we don't believe in the idea that certain people should have better treatment under the law or more rights or more privileges because they're better people, then what do we really mean when we say certain people are better people? Like, maybe I'm being too pragmatic about it, but when you take away the option of treating people differently, and you also take away the appeal to a higher pre-existing authority of what determines a person's value, then what do you mean when you say certain people are better than other people? I just don't. I don't know what it means. If you say that certain people are better than other people because they're nicer, because they behave in a more moral way, because they help people, because they strive to live for others, and they do a lot of good for their community, or or whatever, then to me you're defining them by their actions, and I have no problem with that. I don't think that's an inherent worth. I think that that's a value determined by your work, by your actions, by your choices and the life you live. And I'm totally cool with that. And I don't think that's quite what, at least what I'm interpreting what you're saying from your question, that some people are just plain better than others. Yeah, I still don't believe that. I still don't believe that. Here's one from Bass Bait. What are your thoughts on Red Letter Media, specifically their Plinkett reviews? Do you think that Red Letter Media has become a positive force in criticism, or are just beating a dead horse with the Star Wars prequels, etc.? I'm a really big fan of Red Letter Media, of Mike Stoklasa and his work. I think the Plinkett reviews are hilarious. I love pretty much all of them. I mean, especially the Star Wars prequels reviews, because they're so long and in-depth. And what's so great about them is not just that they're really, really funny, because they are, and they make fun of those Star Wars movies, those shitty prequels, in a way that is really satisfying to someone like me who doesn't like them. But they're also very, very sharp film criticism. And that's, I think, what people really responded to with them, is that it's not just that they're nerdy sort of bitching about Star Wars. There's, God knows there's plenty of that. But they're also really sharp, astute film criticism. Done in this deranged character of Harry Plinkett. And so, yeah, I love them. I think they're great. They're really, really funny, and they're really sharp, good film criticism. And the Star Trek ones that he did for the Next Generation era Star Trek films that he did before the Star Wars prequel reviews came out, those are great too. Banned for fun. Should children be pushed by parents to do some sort of physical activities? My parents made me choose at least one sports activity, completely up to me, but I had to do something. I think it's right, but I understand that others might think differently. The way you describe it here, I don't really have a problem with it. Just telling the kids, look, you have to go out and do something. You can't just sit on your ass and get fat. You know, I think that's responsible as a parent. I think to get your kid to get him or her out and exercised and, you know, stay healthy and stay in a reasonably good condition and get out and get some sun and make friends and socialize. I mean, I think part of being a parent, and I've never been a parent, but I remember what it was like when I was being parented. Part of your responsibility, I think, is to push your kid a little bit to do things that the kid might not necessarily naturally want to do. And going out and doing something physical is a part of that. As long as you do it lovingly, as long as you're not doing it in a way where you're trying to live vicariously through the kid. You know, like, you're going to go out and play for the football team, kid, because your old man was on the football team, and God damn it, you're going to be on the football team too, or the baseball team, or the wrestling team, or the basketball team, or whatever. That kind of thing is not good. I don't like that. But just the general idea of, hey, I don't care what it is, find something that you like, but you should go out and do something. I think I don't have a problem with that at all. Saint Swibbins asks, what do you think of Peter Gabriel, obnoxious artiste or experimental genius? I think Peter Gabriel is the perfect accompaniment to David Copperfield illusions. Without Peter Gabriel playing in the background, the David Copperfield illusion just doesn't quite seem right. When he was in that groove in the late 80s, early 90s, where he had at least one or two illusions per television special that were set to a Peter Gabriel song, oh, that to me, that, my friends, that is magic. Wyvern Lord 23, did you watch Mr. Rogers as a kid? If so, how did he affect you? I did watch Mr. Rogers as a kid. I still watch Mr. Rogers occasionally today. If I happen to see that it's on, I will stop and watch it. And if my wife's not around and wanting to watch something else, I'll sit there and watch the whole show. I mean, I love Mr. Rogers. I think it's the best children's show ever produced, bar none. I like it better than Sesame Street. I like it better than 3-2-1 Contact. All of those like kid shows that were on when I was a kid watching children's television. I mean, there were so many that I enjoyed for various reasons, like 3-2-1 Contact, or Zoobly Zoo was another one that I used to watch. And Sesame Street, obviously. But Mr. Rogers by far was my favorite, and I just there's something about having that father figure on the show who is talking directly to you and everyone else on the show plays along with it. That's what I found so wonderful about it. And that's what I find so wonderful about it today, is that you're included. Mr. Rogers includes you in everything. Like you're really there and like you're really a friend of his. And when he addresses the camera, he's talking to you. And he gets the other people on the show to talk to you as well. Even when he goes out, what blew my mind as a kid, but really made it feel so real and so inclusive and so warm, is when he would go out in person and would visit a factory or visit a school or whatever, and he would be talking to the person in charge there or whatever, and he would just sort of gesture toward the camera and go, you know, hi, I'm Fred Rogers, and here's my television neighbor. And they would just look at the camera and go, oh, hi, how are you? You know, like it was just completely normal to them. Like we were really there. And that was just so wonderful. And that's such a great device. And it really worked on me as a kid to really feel like, wow, I'm really there. And we, you know, he's Mr. Rogers, but every once in a while they would use each other's real names. Someone would call him Fred, or, you know, and it seemed like, wow, this is real. Even though you knew that it was fake. Even though you knew that it was a TV set, because Mr. Rogers would break down that wall too. He did that one episode where he showed you how everything worked. He said, look, I know this looks like a house and it's a town, but look, it's just a set. Look, there are cameras here. Here's how I move the trolley. I mean, he showed you how everything worked. He even admitted that he's not really feeding the fish, that there's not really fish food in there. He's just pretending for the sake of the show. And yet it still felt real because it had that wonderful sense of reality and of warmth and of inclusion. And it did affect me. It affected me because it's the overriding lesson of the show is tolerance and acceptance and getting along with people and learning to make friends with people and accept people and love people despite their superficial differences. It was profoundly affecting to me. Christine Peace asks, if you were a tree, what tree would you be and why? I would want to be a kind of tree that people don't like to climb, because that must be really annoying. I climbed trees a lot when I was a kid. I had a big fucking white pine in my backyard that was like 30 feet tall and branches sticking out everywhere. It was so much fun to climb. And if I mean, I'm sure that was annoying to the tree to have people climbing on it all the time. Oh Christ, here comes the kid from the house again. He's gonna fucking climb me again. I just know it. Here he comes. Oh Jesus Christ. That's got to be a pain. If I were a tree, I'm sure I would hate that. So I would want to be a non-climbable tree. R. Kleinfall. After discussing F. Murray Abraham's brilliant performance in this video, I am curious about your overall feelings of Amadeus. It is my personal favorite movie of all time and would love to hear your thoughts. At one time, it was my favorite movie of all time, too. It was probably the first movie I ever saw, because I saw it very young. I guess I was maybe 11 or 12 the first time I saw Amadeus. And it was the first movie that I saw that really struck me as being a great film. Like a capital G, capital F, great film. And for many years, it was my favorite film. And I mean, then I saw lots more movies, and my taste changed a little bit, and I started gravitating more toward things like, you know, Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and Stanley Kubrick, and then later to Werner Herzog and, you know, things like that. And I don't think I could honestly say Amadeus is my very, very favorite movie now, but it is the movie that if I could teach like a college class about one film, it would be Amadeus, because I've seen it so many times and I have such great love for it, and I find it so interesting and so fascinating, and I feel like there's so much in it that you could talk about and that I could talk about, that it would definitely be the movie I would want to teach. And it's, oh yeah, it's a great movie. From Mark Arangis, anyone who watches your channel will notice you have quite a few unpopular opinions about films, such as on Superman Returns or The Lord of the Rings. Do you mostly feel that's just your own taste and you're the unusual one, or is it mostly what the hell is wrong with everybody else? It's my taste, and I acknowledge that. And it is, I mean, I am the unusual one if I'm the one who's saying Superman Returns is a great film. And I go even beyond that and say it's not just a great film, it's probably the greatest superhero film. That puts me in a very tiny minority of people who think that way, and I acknowledge that. It doesn't really matter to me in any important way, because I would rather be honest about my opinions with myself and with other people when I share those opinions than be more popular. And honestly, most of my film opinions are not that far out of the mainstream. My taste in movies, I think anyway, as well as my taste in music and lots of other things, is pretty white bread. I mean, is pretty mainstream, middle of the road. So the few times, I mean, and even the times when I have outliers, where like Superman Returns, for instance, I mean, that's not like an underground film. That's a big Hollywood mainstream movie that just most people didn't like. I don't think there's anything wrong with everybody else. I don't really look at it in those terms. I mean, art is all a matter of taste. Art is completely subjective. I don't think there's such a thing as an objectively good movie where everybody can come together and agree, oh, absolutely, that's a great movie. I think it's all completely a matter of taste. Some people see a movie like Citizen Kane, which is one of the most universally praised films among critics, among moviegoers, etc. It always rates very highly. But there are people who think Citizen Kane is dog shit, who think it's a terribly overrated movie. And there's nothing to say that they're wrong and I'm right, except that we disagree and we can argue about it, and that's usually a fun argument to have. The same with Superman Returns and Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is dog shit. I think it's terrible. I don't enjoy it at all. But there are other people who think it's the greatest thing that humankind has ever created. So, you know, there's some space in between there, and it's fun to argue about it. Anyway, that's the long answer. The short answer is, yeah, it's everybody else. I mean, obviously I'm right. That was the last question. Let's do a shout out, shall we? This week's shout out goes to Dazzle Tag. Such a funny channel and so criminally undersubscribed. I think when I checked it this morning, he had under 1,000 subs. Let's see if we can do something about that, shall we? Dazzle Tag is such a funny channel. Really great atheist flavored humor. I think his most recent one he put up in a few weeks ago, maybe back in September, called Quantum Theology, where he's teaching a class about how to reconcile the apparent contradictions in Christian theology. And it's really, really, really well done. Really funny. A good performer in front of the camera, and funny material. So Dazzle Tag. Check out Dazzle Tag and subscribe if you like it. And that's it for this week. Next week I'll be back answering more of your questions, but of course, before I can answer your questions, you have to ask. So please, if you have anything to ask me about anything, opinions about movies, television, music, etc., political stuff, personal stuff, whatever, I will answer anything you ask as long as I think I can get an interesting bit of video out of it. So please leave a comment wherever you're watching this video, ask your question, and I will see you in the next edition of this series next week.